Hey there, it's Krystal Everdeen, and today I want to show you how I crocheted this floral halter top. For this project, I used white yarn as well as green yarn and purple yarn, but you can use whatever colors that you'd like. I am also using a size 5mm hook, and the first thing I'm going to do is actually take the white yarn and create a slip knot. So I'm just going to create my slip knot, and after I've created my slip knot, I'm going to put my hook through that loop and chain a chain that is long enough to cover from one side of my rib to the other. Basically, what I mean is it needs to reach from this area of your body all the way over to this area of your body, from point to point, and it will give you the proper coverage that you need. This is going to serve as the base of your halter top, so make sure that it is long enough to properly cover you. In addition to not wanting it to make your chain too short, you also don't want to make it too long, so make sure that you leave enough space for there to be a gap in the back so you can make your adjustable straps. If you make the chain too long and it connects like this when you wrap it around yourself, then you won't have any room for adjustable straps. So make sure that you leave a bit of a gap there, and you only make the chain long enough to reach from the points that I showed you, and then everything will work out great. So after you have chained your chain, then you're going to go back on it with a half double crochet, and a half double crochet is yarn over, through the stitch, yarn over, back through the stitch, yarn over through all 3 loops. Yarn over, through the stitch, yarn over, back through the stitch, yarn over through all 3 loops. Once again, yarn over, through the stitch, yarn over, back through the stitch, yarn over through all 3 loops. And it should look something like this. Originally, I was going to make the top with a double crochet, but the double crochet has too large of gaps, so I thought that the half double crochet would be perfect for this look, because I don't really like using single crochet, even though it is the tightest stitch that you can use for the tops, just because for some reason if I use a single crochet on halter tops, it's just uncomfortable and not very flexible. However, double crochets or half double crochets work really well. I decided not to go for double crochet this time just because I don't want to have to worry about the gaps in between the white yarn as well as the gaps in between the flowers that we're going to be making later. So I thought that a half double crochet is the perfect option for this design. And again, half double crochets, yarn over, through the stitch, yarn over, back through the stitch, yarn over through all 3 loops. And it looks something like this, a little hybrid between a single crochet and a double crochet. And yeah, I'm just going to continue making my half double crochets all along this row until I reach the very end. And once I reach the very end, I'm going to make sure that I go into the very last stitch, and after I've created the last stitch of the row, I'm going to chain 1, then flip the project over and create a new row of half double crochet on top of the previous row that I just made. And I'm going to, of course, make it the same way as I made the first row. Yarn over, through the stitch, yarn over, back through the stitch, yarn over through all 3 loops. And this is what the project looks like so far. So I'm going to make a couple rows of this, and then we're going to add the flower with the purple and the green. So yeah, right now we're just doing the basic half double crochet stitches, and then we're going to add the adorable flower details afterwards. So I haven't really decided how many rows I'm going to make of this so far. I made a tube top with this design, but just different colors, and I think I only made a couple rows in between the flowers, and I wanted the gap to be a little bit bigger with the solid color. So I'm probably going to make like 4 or 5 rows of half double crochet just to make the gap a little bit bigger, and then a row of flowers, and then like a large gap, and then a row of flowers. so on and so forth. So instead of checking in with you at the end of this row, I'm going to check in with you at the end of the last row that I decided to make. But just know that I'm basically doing the exact same thing I did for the previous row. When I reach the end of this row, I'm going to make sure that I go into the very last stitch of the row, then chain 1, flip the project over, and start my new row. And that's pretty much it. So again, I will check back in with you after I have completed my last row of half double crochet. So in total, I ended up making 7 rows of half double crochet, and now I'm finishing off the very last stitch for the last row of this white yarn. And now I'm going to add the green yarn, and this is going to serve as the stem for our flowers. I'm actually going to chain 1 with the white yarn and then add the green yarn, and you can add the color however which way you like adding color. You could tie a knot or, I don't know, use something else, but this is how I attach my new color. And from here, I'm going to skip the very first stitch of the row as well as the second stitch of the row, and I'm going to go into that third stitch and create a double crochet. And if you're not sure what a double crochet is, I will go through it in a bit. But after I have created my first double crochet, I'm going to chain 1 and then go into the same stitch again and create another double crochet. And a double crochet is yarn over through the stitch, yarn over back through the stitch, yarn over through 2 loops, yarn over through the last 2 loops. And what you've just created is a little V-shaped stitch, and that's going to serve again as the stem of your flower. So from here, I'm just going to chain 1, skip 2 stitches, go into that third stitch, and create yet another double crochet. And after I've created that double crochet, I'm going to chain 1, then create another double crochet inside of the exact same stitch. And again, that's going to create a little V, a little opening right here, and that's where we're going to put the flower in the next row. But for now, we're just going to continue on and making these little stems. So I'm going to chain 1, skip 2 stitches, and then go into that third stitch and create a double crochet, then chain 1, go into the same stitch and create another double crochet, then chain 1, skip 2 stitches, then go into that third stitch and create a double crochet, chain 1, go into the same exact stitch and create another double crochet, then chain 1, skip 2 stitches, go into that third stitch, create a double crochet, chain 1, then go into that same stitch and create another double crochet, and so on and so forth until you've created these all along the row until you reach the very end. And I will check back in with you once I reach the very end, but I'm just going to go ahead and continue crocheting the stems throughout the rest of the row. So I've reached the very end of the row, so I'm going to chain 1, skip 2 stitches, go into that third stitch and create 1 double crochet, chain 1, then go into the same stitch and create another double crochet. And even though it's right at the end here, I'm still going to chain 1, and then I'm just going to create 1 double crochet in the very, very last stitch of the row. That way it just remains even. And then from here, I'm going to attach my new color, and the new color is purple. Again, with any of these colors, you could totally change it up, switch it up to whatever one you want. You don't even have to use white as your base color. It could literally be anything. And of course you could change the color of the flower as well. But I have all this purple yarn that I never really use and I wanted to use it, so that's why I decided to go with purple. Plus it matches my nails. So now that I've attached the new color here, I'm going to chain 1 at the end just to really secure it onto the new row. And then I'm going to reach on over to the first opening here between the 2 double crochets that we made in the previous row. I'm going to yarn over and create almost a double crochet. So I'm going to go through the first 2 loops as if I were going to make a double crochet, but I'm not going to go through the last 2 loops. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing again through the opening. So I'm going to yarn over, go through the stitch, yarn over, go back through a stitch, then yarn over, go through 2 loops only. Then I'm going to do that once again. I'm going to yarn over, go through the opening, yarn over, back through the stitch, and yarn over through 2 loops only, and then you're left with like this big cluster right here, which is perfectly fine. And that's exactly what you want to make the flower. And then from here we're going to yarn over once again and then go through all of the loops, and that's your little flower right here. Yay! I know that was a little bit confusing, so I'm going to do it once again. So from here I'm just going to chain 2 this time, reach on over to the next opening, yarn over, then go through the opening, yarn over, back through the opening, yarn over through 2 loops only. Then yarn over through the opening, yarn over, back through the opening, yarn over through 2 loops only. Yarn over through the opening, yarn over, back through the opening, yarn over through 2 loops only. So you're left with something that looks like this, and then from here you're going to yarn over and then go through all the loops that are left on your hook, and the final result looks like this. Then you're going to chain 2 once again, reach on over to the next opening and do that all over again until you reach the end of the row. So you're going to go into every single one of these openings that you made in the previous row and create little flowers. Again, you're going to yarn over, go through the opening, yarn over, back through the opening, yarn over through 2 loops only, yarn over through the opening, yarn over, back through the opening, yarn over through 2 loops, yarn over through the opening, yarn over, back through the opening, yarn over through 2 loops until you have a total of 4 loops on your hook. Then you're going to yarn over and then go through all of the loops and be left with a little flower. And yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the row, and I will check back in with you once I am at the end. So now that I've reached the end of the row, this is what the project looks like so far. I've completed my first row of flowers, and I didn't quite reach the very last stitch, so what I'm going to do is chain 2, then reach on over all the way down here so I can make this portion of the top even. And I'm going to create a triple crochet to even it out like so. Then I'm going to chain 1 and switch back to the white yarn, then create another 7 rows of half double crochet just as I did in the beginning. That way there could be a gap in between the flowers. So it's going to be 7 rows of solid white, then the flowers, and 7 rows of solid white, then the flowers, and so on and so forth. And to make this more of a halter shape, this is where we're going to start implementing decreasing. And what decreasing is essentially we're going to skip a few stitches in each row to make the total number of stitches in each row decrease. Thus, the halter shape will form because throughout each row, little by little, it's going to get smaller and smaller. So we're going to create more of a triangular shape as opposed to a rectangular through the decreasing, and we're going to do that starting right now. So I'm going to chain 1 after I've attached my white yarn. Then I'm going to proceed with going into the very first stitch of the new row, creating a double crochet. But then I'm going to skip the next stitch and go into the one after it. And by skipping that stitch, I'm going to slowly be decreasing the overall number of stitches throughout the entire project, and that's exactly what we want. And after that, then we're just going to continue on with the rest of the project as normal. It's as simple as that. It's going to be a very gradual change, but yeah, that's basically all you have to do in order to make the halter shape. You're just going to skip that second stitch of the new row and then continue on as normal until you reach the end of that row, and then you're going to chain 1, flip the project over, go into the very first stitch of the new row, skip over that second stitch, and then continue on with the rest of the row as normal till you reach the end, and then you're going to do the exact same thing over and over again, and eventually the project will start looking more like a halter top. So I've created a couple rows of half double crochet already, but just as a recap, I'm going to go into the very last stitch of the row, then I'm going to chain 1, flip the project over, and then go into the very first stitch of the new row, But then I'm going to skip over the second stitch of the new row like so and just make a half double crochet right over it. And little by little, it's going to start looking like this, and that's actually exactly what you want. You no longer want it to be straight. You want it to start curving in so that it can get smaller and smaller so that it just covers your neck and it's not just a giant square when you wear it. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to continue to do. I'm going to finish off my rows of the white yarn, and then I'm going to add in a row of flowers pretty much the exact same way that we did before. We're not going to be doing any decreasing of like the flowers. We're still going to go into all of the stitches to make the stems, because all of the work of decreasing is going to be done when we do the white portion of the top. So yeah, I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing, and I will check back in with you when I change colors. So now that I finished off my last row of the white, I'm going to add the green to create a row of stems. So I just attached it, chained one, then I'm going to skip the first two stitches, go into that third stitch and create a double crochet. Then I'm going to chain one, go into the same exact stitch and create another double crochet. Then I'm going to chain one, skip two stitches, go into that third stitch and create one double crochet, then chain one, then create another double crochet within the same opening, then chain one, skip two stitches, go into that third stitch, create a double crochet, chain one, then go into the same stitch and create another double crochet, so on and so forth, until I reach the end of the row. And then once I reach the end of the row, that's when I'm going to add the purple and then do the flowers once again. So yeah, just pretty much we're just going to keep repeating this pattern until we get to the very top of the top. Now that I've reached the end of the row for the stems, I'm going to go into the very last stitch of the row and create a single double crochet, then chain one and attach the purple yarn to make the flowers. So I'm just going to attach it, and then from here I'm going to flip the project over, then go into the first opening of the new row and then create half of a double crochet, not a half double crochet but half of a double crochet, where I'm going to yarn over, go through the opening, and then just go through 2 loops 3 times. And then once there's a total of 4 loops on my hook, I'm going to yarn over and go through all of the loops to make a little flower. Then I'm going to chain 2, reach on over to the next opening, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to only go through 2 loops, yarn over through the opening, yarn over, back through the opening, yarn over through 2 loops, yarn over through the opening, yarn over, back through the opening, yarn over through only 2 loops until there's a total of 4 loops on my hook, and then I'm going to yarn over and then go through all of the loops. And yeah, that's how I'm going to make this row of flowers. And I'm just going to continue on with this pattern until I reach the end of the row. And once I reach the end of the row, that's when I'm going to attach the white yarn again, and then again continue on with the pattern, making sure that I am decreasing at the beginning of every row. And eventually, after I continue on with this pattern, then we're going to reach a point where we are pretty much happy with the coverage of the halter top, and then we could start working on the straps and complete the project. So I've just finished up my last row of the solid white, and this is what the project looks like. This is pretty much the entirety of the top minus the straps, and also one more layer of single crochet that I'm going to do all around. So my plan is to start from here and chain a very long chain of about 150 chains to serve as both the neck strap and the back strap. Then I'm going to single crochet my way across to the other side and chain a chain that is also 150 chains long to serve as the neck strap and the back strap. Then I'm going to single crochet my way down the side, across, up to the other side, and then finish the project. And the reason I'm going to add that extra layer of single crochet is to even out these really jagged edges. So yeah, that's the plan. From here, I'm going to make my strap. And after I've chained 150 chains, I'm going to go down on that chain with a slip stitch just so that I don't have to detach the yarn from the yarn ball and then reattach it, and also to make the strap a little bit thicker. So after I've chained my 150 chains, I'm going to go back down that chain with a slip stitch, then single crochet my way across to the other side and do the exact same thing. Then do that one row of single crochet all across, and then I will be done crocheting the top, and we can just lace up these straps and then be completely done. So now I am completely done crocheting the top. Yay! So again, I know I just said it in this video, but in real life it's actually been like 30 minutes. So I'm just going to reiterate what I just did. So I finished crocheting the top all the way to this point right here, and then I chained a chain of 150, then went back on that chain with a slip stitch, then single crocheted my way across to this side and did the exact same thing, 150 chains. Then I went back on it with a slip stitch, and then from here I single crocheted my way down this side, then single crocheted my way across and up to this point, and then that's where I detached the yarn from the yarn ball finally. And now we are done crocheting. I have been crocheting this top for about 7 hours and my back really hurts, but I'm excited to get this done and finally wear it and see what it looks like. So now that I have completed the straps, we're going to lace it up. I'm going to grab one strap from one side, bring it on over to the opposite side, and attach it to the bottom of the top, but not like the complete bottom, like a little bit higher than the complete bottom of the top. And I'm going to lace it through like so, and then I'm going to reach on over to the opposite side again and then attach it to like the middle portion of the bottom portion of the top. And then I'm going to reach on over to the opposite side one last time and finally attach it to the very bottom of the bottom portion of the top. And then after I do that, I'm going to grab the other strap from the opposite side of the original and do the exact same thing, just of course on the opposite side. So I'm going to attach it to the top portion of the bottom of the top, and then I'm going to reach on over to the opposite side and attach it to the middle portion of the bottom portion of the top. And then from here I'm going to lace it through, and then I'm going to attach it to the very bottom portion of the top. And once I have done that, then the strap should look something like this, and you could just tie it in the back like so, and you're completely done with this top. Yay! Adorable. Now it's time to style it and rock it and be happy that we have a brand new crochet top. So cute. I really like the way that this top turned out. I actually really like the colors, and I love that it, you know, matches my nails. So adorable. And if you're wondering, my nails are actually what inspired me to crochet this top and like design it and stuff. I was like, well, I did a really good job painting my nails for once in my life, and I want to film a video where I get to show them off, and what better way to show off my nails than with a crochet video where all you see is my hands for like 90% of the video. So anywho, this is what the top looks like. I hope you enjoyed this video, found it interesting, entertaining, or helpful. If you like free crochet tutorials, I have a ton of them on my channel. Please go ahead and check out my crochet playlist if you want to watch all my crochet videos. Thank you so much again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up before you go. And also don't forget to click that red subscribe button if you have not already, so I can see you next time. Bye!